This episode of Flashback Sequence Engaged is brought to you by the Wool Exchange. You can visit them at thewoolexchange.shop or stop in their location at 111 South Columbus Street in Lancaster for the complete barber experience. Anything less would be uncivilized.
And welcome to a new episode of Flashback Sequence Engaged, the podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Incredible. Yes, I'm Mr. Incredible.
I'd have to agree.
Oh, thanks. Yes, a new episode. Oh, and guess who's back on the episode?
It's me.
It's Jason.
It's Jason.
Welcome back, Jason.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
All right, so we got a interesting episode for you, or for our listeners. So we're going to talk about some funny news and some news that you're going to kind of scratch your head on and just think, why is humanity even bothering? So yeah, we're going to talk about that, and then we have another topic, or for our third act coming up. We're going to talk about biohacking. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
I'm pretty excited to kind of dive into that.
Yeah, I know, same here. So interesting to see how it goes with that. So I just want to briefly talk about a few things. So how's your week going so far?
Busy. As always, my work schedule makes things a little crazy, but hey, you know, that's the way of life, isn't it? You gotta work in order to enjoy life.
That's true.
Now, if I could just find time to enjoy life after all the work, it would make it so much better.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could just podcast on it? Like, that would be your job, it's just a podcast?
That would be stellar, yes, to just hang out in my office and record all these little nothings that go through my head and have people listen and contribute.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you want to know how we can be able to do that?
Oh, tell me how.
If you check out our Patreon page, you can help support the show. And then we can do this on a more regular basis instead of recording just on the weekends.
So instead of being annoyed once a week, you can be annoyed almost every day.
Roughly. Between 5 and 7 days.
Yeah, you know.
Give or take.
Yeah.
So yeah, just check out our Patreon page at Flashback Sequence Engage. The podcast. So we have a few different tiers. We have the $5 tier. You can just donate just in general. The $5 tier gets you access to our Discord, which we're going to open that up when we start to get some more contributors. And then we have our mega super ultra awesome tier, which is $35. But it's basically like Loot Crate. It's the idea of Loot Crate. We'll send you cool swag if you send us some money, you know, and we'll kind of split the difference. So it'll help support the show, but then you'll get something in return. So we're still trying to work out the details with that. It might be monthly, it might be bi-monthly, but we're not sure. Okay, and then the second thing I want to... The one thing I want to mention is went and seen 2 movies last night. Went to the drive-ins.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I'd seen Incredibles 2, which is actually not a bad kids movie.
Good.
I really enjoyed it. And then seen Ocean's 8.
How was that one? That's the one I'm interested in.
Didn't finish the movie because it was pretty bad.
Really?
Okay. So I like the idea of another Ocean's movie.
Mm-hmm.
My only complaint with it was I felt like the characters were very underdeveloped. The story was very slow. Very, very, very slow. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. So if you haven't seen Ocean's 8, stop listening right now and then come back after you've watched it. So I'll give you another a couple seconds. Okay. So do you have any inclination to go see it?
I do, but it's okay if you spoil it because I have onset dementia and I'm not going to remember anything you say.
Okay, so they, I'm not really gonna. I'm not gonna give you like groundbreaking spoilers here.
Yeah.
Danny Ocean's dead.
Okay.
They allude to that quite a few times in the movie. So Danny's no longer in the picture, and for anything Ocean's related. And then someone makes a cameo, which is Ruben. And that's basically it. The characters, Rihanna's character, Nine Ball, it was okay. Debbie Ocean's character, which is Sandra Bullock, it was very underwhelming. I don't know. Here's the thing. I think they had a really good cast. I just think the story sucked.
Yeah.
It happens. And I'm probably going to catch a lot of heat from it, and they'll be like, well, you just don't like it because it's an all-female cast. No, I disagree with you on that. The story has to be good with it for it to be a good movie. Ghostbusters was a decent movie, and it was an all-female. Yeah, it was an all-female cast.
Yeah.
It was still a good movie. It was still worth seeing. I think it's better than Ocean's 8 by far. So yeah, when seeing that, wasn't impressed. I just thought they could have done more with it. They had such a good cast, so it was very sad. So seeing that, and then yeah, that's all I got.
Okay.
For that.
Well, not to dive in because we got so much more interesting things to talk about. We'll just kind of tickle our toe in the water, so to speak. But like you mentioned, an all-female cast, and then you brought up Ghostbusters, which was something I was going to ask about.
Sure.
I mean, I was really excited when I saw the promo for Ocean's 8 the first time because I was like, sweet, an Ocean's movie, all-female. I think that'd be really cool. And then same thing with Ghostbusters was like, hey, I grew up with Ghostbusters. This is one of the first movies I remember watching, and I loved that that whole storyline, the characters and everything. But it seems like there's so many of these movies that have all these like all-female cast, even things like Bridesmaids and all this stuff that was.
Right.
And so I don't know. I mean, do you think that is it maybe that Hollywood's not taking them seriously because it is an all-female cast, and that's why it's not written well? Is it just they're not getting good writers or directors for these movies? Is it American perception that you have to have a strong male lead on these? Like, what do you think? Because I mean, all these movies that we just mentioned really could have been huge. I mean, not that Bridesmaids wasn't good or anything, but especially an Ocean's movie, for crying out loud, with Sandra Bullock and that huge cast, I was just surprised that it wasn't as good as what I've been reading and hearing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It was still Village Roadshow, or I think Village Roadshow that did all their previous Ocean movies, so
right.
It's still the same production company.
Yeah.
But the one thing I did notice is, I think just the story in general, it wasn't, okay, so there were parts where it just wasn't funny.
Yeah, okay.
So there was a scene where in the first Ocean's movie, that I believe it might have been, hold on. I'm trying to picture the cast here real quick. Give me a second.
To be fair, when we're talking about the first Oceans, we're talking about the reboot of the Oceans.
Okay. So, yeah, so going back to that. So in the first Oceans movie, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Ocean's 11. There was a scene in the movie where Brad Pitt's character, Rusty, talks to Danny, pulls him to the side. They're in this warehouse, and basically Rusty busts Danny out and just says, because he had found out that Tess was dating Benedict. Okay?
Right.
So Rusty busts Danny out about it and just like confronts him and says, hey, tell me this isn't about screwing the guy that's screwing your wife. In short, is what he's saying. So they basically had sort of that same scene in this movie. So, the guy that was in a relationship with Debbie Ocean, or they was in some kind of business or whatever kind of relationship. Anyhow, Lou, which is Cate Blanchett's character, finds out about this and confronts Debbie about it. The same scene, literally carbon copy, just,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. That's not very original. But, I mean, I picked up on it, like, I recognized that scene and this scene, and you could literally mirror them together. And I'm just like, okay, so you want to be like the Ocean series, but then you want to go a completely different direction
You want to see something new, not a rehash.
Right.
Yeah. So, kind of doing a quick research on that when I was thinking about writers and whatnot. I mean, this was written by Gary Ross, who's written some of the biggest movies ever. Big, for crying out loud. You don't get much bigger than that, especially in the 80s. Pleasantville, Hunger Games. So I don't think it would have been the writer himself, considering he had that. Maybe he just had an off day while he was writing that. I don't know.
No, but here's the thing. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe this specific kind of movie was not
in his wheelhouse.
Exactly.
Yep. Or there could have been a lot of pressure from the the production company. All that happens a lot from the studios where they want things done a certain way, and so that could have been too. Maybe he had his hands tied a bit. But it's frustrating because I was looking forward to seeing it. It wasn't something that was high on my list, but I liked pretty much that whole cast, and the story seemed really
good. I thought Anne Hathaway was really good.
Of course,
I thought Rihanna was really good as Nineball.
Yeah.
I mean, Cate Blanchett's character, she was very smooth, like, Brad Pitt's character is Rusty.
Yeah.
Kind of like the just kind of goes with the flow kind of guy. She definitely fit that bill. She just kind of just rolled with it, but then she was very smooth. So I did really like her character. Like I said, they had a really good cast. I just didn't feel like the writing utilized their abilities.
Yeah. And it's still something I'm going to go see. And
it's worth going to see.
Yeah.
But go in with the expectations that it might not be what you're expecting. So.
Sounds good.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and move into the news. So that's like a terrible entry too. So let's get into the news. All right, and first article up. This one's going to be a doozy. You ready for this one?
No one's ready for this one.
All right, so this decent human being goes by the hashtag PermitPatty. Now, Jason, does that make you kind of wonder why she goes by the hashtag PermitPatty?
It certainly does, sir.
Okay. So let me go ahead and I'll paint a little picture for you. So we have this fine, upstanding human being. So the title of the article goes, "Woman dubbed hashtag PermitPatty appears to call cops on 8-year-old girl selling water in a viral video."
8-year-old girl selling water. Clearly, she needs cuffed and beat because she's a menace to society.
Well, here's the thing. I'm willing to bet she never had a lemonade stand when she was growing up.
No, that's too much work.
No.
Yeah, you just be the middleman of the bottled water makers.
Yeah, but I remember having a lemonade stand when I was a kid, and I didn't have the law come knocking on my door, just be like, well, you need a permit for that.
Yeah, I had one when I was a kid, and we lived out in the country. We might have had 10 cars pass by, not even stop, but pass by. I still had fun. It was neat. But for crying out loud, nobody would have called the cops on me.
So, yeah. So this fine, upstanding human being So there is video floating around of, okay, now I'm not going to get into, gonna get into any, big deal with the actual situation. I'm not going to get all, like, the whole, I don't know how to put it.
Oh, you can say it. It's our podcast. You can say whatever you want.
Okay, so I think she's racist.
Right.
And it's pretty blatant.
Yes.
And I'm white. And
Me
you're
too.
white.
Yeah. Pretty much my whole life.
And I think this is unacceptable behavior on the woman PermitPatty. Any reasonable human being that would see this would not see as anything more than just a girl selling water.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't know if it's the news painting the picture that they're making it specifically that this woman is white, the 8-year-old girl is black, the mother of the 8-year-old girl is black. It's this huge divide, which we're not going to get into. We already know it exists.
Right.
We see it in the news, but we're just gonna talk about how stupid this person is that they're gonna call the cops for a single permit. Okay, so this video of this woman calling the police on a young black girl who was selling water bottles in San Francisco has went viral. Now, mind you, I don't. Let me just go and reference. I'm just gonna say this again. So, woman allegedly calls police on girl who was selling water bottles. I'm not going to associate to what race either person is.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that later, but let's get through this.
We'll touch on that later. The child's mother, Erin Austin, posted the video on her Instagram account. In it, she follows a woman named Allison Edel, who is holding a phone up to her ear. Austin, who had recently lost her job, told all moms that her 8-year-old daughter, Jordan, was trying to raise money because she wanted to go to Disneyland. I appreciate her hustle.
Absolutely. I mean, you're 8 years old. You can't exactly go work at the Walmart, although they probably take it because, they could pay you less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do what you do. And when you're excited about Disney World, that's awesome that she's trying to do anything.
I appreciate her. I appreciate her drive to, to meet a goal.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Jordan was selling bottles of water outside the family's apartment building, which is across the street from AT&T Stadium where the Giants were playing. Great idea.
Yeah.
It's all about location.
You go where the people are.
That's right. Caught off guard when Edel approached 8-year-old girl Jordan for a permit. Wait a second. How many government employees do you know that would come ask for a permit or an ordinance or what kind of government inspector would be wearing
blue t-shirt, black pants,
and yoga pants,
hair pulled back with sunglasses in her hair?
Yeah, she looks like she handles all the permits.
In the face of a woman that is angry that she only got 18 nuggets in her 20 nugget meal.
So anyhow, this, like I said, fine, upstanding human being. Whatever. This woman doesn't want to let a little girl sell some water. Really?
Yeah.
Austin could be heard saying she's calling the police on an 8-year-old little girl. Edel then ducks behind a brick structure, appearing to hide. Really?
I mean, if you're going to be that ballsy,
if you're gonna be a jerk a-hole like that,
to call the cops on an 8-year-old, right?
At least own it.
Right?
Own being if you're gonna be an asshole, own it.
Right.
Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Edel says the little girl is illegally selling water without a permit. It's unclear whether she's speaking to the cops or to Austin. That seems like the longest cop phone call I've ever seen in my entire life.
Go ahead.
So this goes on. So Edel responds by saying, "It's not your property." In the video, in the video's caption, she is asked to make the woman go. So the mother of the daughter that's posting it puts in the caption. This caption, she asked many people to make this go viral under the hashtag PermitPatty. As of Sunday morning, the video has more than 864,000 views. Wow. That definitely went viral.
No kidding.
And it's trending on Twitter.
Of course it is.
God, I didn't even check it today. So Austin's cousin, Raj Lee, posted about the incident on Twitter, said her cousin was gifted 4 tickets to Disneyland by a man who heard about the story.
So it's got a sweet ending.
Yes.
It's not a perfect ending, but it's a sweet ending.
Right. Okay. So that's the ending that that you could hope for anyone to experience. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back to the whole beginning of it. I don't think she gave a shit if the girl had a permit or not.
Okay.
I think she just had an axe to grind. And unfortunately, she took it out on an innocent girl. Now, whether it's racially charged, don't know. But it looks that way. I don't know if that's just how the news painted it, just how it happened to be, or like I said, she was just being an a-hole and she just felt like grinding an axe.
Well, there are people out there that, don't give a shit if you're, purple. They're going to make a big stink about whatever, they want to make a big stink about. And maybe she just had a bad day. Maybe she really did only get 18 nuggets in her meal. That poor woman. So maybe race doesn't have anything to do with it. When you watch the video, though, it kind of does give you puts that little nugget in your brain about it. But then what really sets it off is, like we were talking about earlier, the media, it has to be, that there's a white woman calling about a black girl. And if it was white on white, if it was black on black, that probably wouldn't have been in there at all. But because there was this racist undertone, it has to be kind of pulled to the forefront. Am I blaming the media? No. It's what they do. I think we're all used to all the crap that they do now. But yeah, the woman in particular just looks like an angry woman. She just does not look happy that her heart is still beating. She looks a mess and she looks frustrated, and I think she just wants everybody to experience the pain in her life that she's already had. And
I think that's
sad.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's truly a fair assessment. I mean, I think it goes back to. I mean, there was another situation that's almost identical to this situation. The family having the barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly the same situation. Woman's, got this gripe that this family's having a barbecue in this park, and she's just like, "Oh no, you can't have a barbecue, and you can't have an open barbecue in a park." Yes, she happened to be white, and yes, they happen to be a black family. It looks racially charged.
Right.
But, it's just, seriously, people, unless you can write the ticket, mind your own business.
Shut up.
It's an 8-year-old girl selling water. Mind your own business.
Yep.
There's far more other things in the world to sweat about.
Yes.
Deal with it. I'm gonna leave it at that. So, I look at this article and I'm so glad that there was a happy ending. I would have been truly bummed out if we'd only seen this article and just been like, really, there was really no outcome or any good outcome. But like I said, there was a decent human being out there that realized that this person was being a complete asshole, and they wanted to show that there are still decent human beings out there.
I've got a friend in Libya that I know I've talked about last week, and it's funny because we talk about how, the media paints things and all this and that, and like you said, it's nice to see that there are still good people in the world. Well, the thing is, honestly, I think the majority of people in this world are good.
I think there is too.
But the people that get the FaceTime and the camera time
are the idiots.
Are the assholes, yeah. And why? Because people want to be drawn into that. And if you don't believe me, then why is there a show called Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
I don't know how they still have a show.
I don't either. I didn't even know it was still on. But you know what I mean? Like, drama. Everybody wants to see drama, and everybody wants to see this and that. They're not going to want to see the happy puppy. Oh, that's cute. And then, you're gone. They want to have something that they can talk about, argue about, fight about, discuss. And we'll kind of get into this later on, because when we were talking about, we'll be getting into biohacking later. We're going to talk about emotions, and that's something, this is kind of points to that. I'll intertwine those later once we get to that biohack thing. But yeah, there are a lot of good people out there, but the fat idiots with axes to grind are the ones that are the ones who get the camera and the million hits.
Yep. Just be decent to your fellow human. Just be decent to human beings.
Really,
it's not that difficult. I'm sorry, PermitPatty, that your life sucks.
Truly.
That, you felt the need to, be a complete a-hole and try to piss on someone else's parade.
Maybe someone needs to get her a ticket to Disneyland. It's the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
Might help.
Well, no, maybe they just need to bury the hatchet and just all go to Disneyland. Together.
That would be a reality show I would watch.
I would watch that special.
No kid.
Okay, so good old PermitPatty.
All right.
What an idiot. All
no
right,
kidding.
so moving on to the next one. I can't deal with stupidity anymore. This is what I qualify as a TSL issue. Too stupid to live.
Okay.
This is definitely TSL related. All right, so this article might also fall under that too. All right, so the next one. The hits just keep coming. An Apple Store employee told me I was charging my iPhone wrong.
It's really hard. I mean, if you don't have the instruction booklet, God only knows what you're going to do. How do you charge an iPhone wrong? Since the inception of the iPhone, it's not even micro USB, where you have to plug it in a certain way. You just plug it in. Apparently, the genius, and I'm using air quotes, at the Genius Bar, had to correct this gentleman.
Okay, so this article is from Zenit, I think it's Zenit. So, I'm sorry, Chris, I can't pronounce your last name, I'll just call you Chris. So Chris Matzitsky, that's his name. I just added Chris. That's your last name. Chris, I'm sorry. That sounds better. Chris M. Talked about an issue where he went to an Apple store and he was having issues with his iPhone 6. Now, mind you, you're still carrying an iPhone 6 in 2018.
Yeah, that might be one strike on you there, Chris.
Yeah, so. Moving on from that. So we went to the Apple store, and so let me just go and quote the article, and I'll just go and read what he said. I explained my problem to the Apple genius. I even showed him by plugging in my iPhone 6 into a store lightning cable. All right. Genius proceeds to say, "There's your problem." And then he says, "Yes, it's not charging." Or no, Chris says, "Yes, it's not charging." The genius looked at Chris as if demonstrated the intelligence of an inebriated vole.
Love it.
That's a hell of a line right there.
That is genius, and I'm using that every day from now on.
Yeah, and then the words that have haunted me ever since, "You're charging it wrong," is what the genius said.
Clearly, he was trying to put the charging port into the headset jack. I mean...
Yeah, the non-existent headset... Or, no, yeah, it does still have the headset jack.
Yeah. How in the world... Explain.
It literally only goes...
Yeah, you can't do it wrong.
No. It's flat.
Right. It's universal.
There's a top part, it charges. There's a bottom part, it charges. You can turn it in a couple different directions as long as it's still flat. Now, if you're trying to turn it like where it's vertical, where it's straight up and down...
You probably didn't get out of kindergarten.
It doesn't go. It doesn't fit in the hole.
Right.
It's not going to work.
No.
But if it's flat and you just put it in there, it should work.
So how did this genius solve this problem?
Okay. I was lost for syllables. Before I could find even something guttural, the genius grabbed my phone and began a demonstration. Stop the presses. He's demonstrating how to charge an iPhone.
It is important. It is imperative to know how to correctly charge your iPhone, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I bet Steve Jobs is spinning in his grave right now. Okay. So this is what the genius says. Look, you're far too aggressive. It's not like he's jackhammering it into the charging port.
I mean, I know I've come home from work one, having a bad day, and I take my power jack, and I'm just like, son of a bitch! No, I can't think of a time I've ever been aggressive charging my phone.
How do you define that as aggressive? It's like he's like screaming in anger.
Right.
Hold charge! He's not doing anything like that.
Well, I've heard if you push in the charger faster, then it makes it charge the phone faster. No, I'm full of shit. I was just trying to help this genius, quote unquote, along here.
I think the genius title is very debatable in this situation.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll get into that
So,
later.
yeah, apparently the customer was putting in his charger too aggressively. Good God, these people. Then he placed the charging cable pin on the very edge of the lightning port. He gave it a gentle push, and it went in. In it went.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt, adding an extra step to the process made it different.
Gentle. Shh. It'll be okay. Just let it happen.
Maybe no.
What do you have
hold on a second?
Do you have to buy your phone?
Hold on a second. Maybe he's on to something. Now, if I have a problem with my iPhone 8 Plus, I should just talk to it sweetly. Oh, iPhone 8 Plus, I love you so much. Will you always charge for me? Please say you always charge for me. Oh, I'll be so gentle with your port.
Need to start talking like Barry White. Soothe that port into submission.
I promise I will not just jam it in. That's what she said.
Foreplay is there for a reason. Anyway.
So moving right along. Okay, so the phone pretended to charge a little bit and then stopped. Okay. I'm thinking it's the charging port's gone bad.
Makes sense.
Okay. So the genius has he has a good rebuttal for this. Yeah, you wrecked the inside.
You wrecked it.
Damn near wrecked it. Wrecked the whole damn thing.
Wrecked him. Damn near killed him. Sorry, I had to throw that in there with all the other garbage talk we had in there. Okay.
Oh my God! What is with these people? Oh, I don't know what I can. Oh, it's just too much to handle. So then Chris proceeds to say, "What? Why? How?" I asked a touch too pleadingly. You're too aggressive. These ports weren't designed for shoving.
Or for shit, really.
It's a gentle process.
Are we wooing our phone? Seriously, are we taking it out to dinner first?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
You can't. This guy clearly has drank the apple Kool-Aid, and no, I'm not talking apple flavored, apple incorporated Kool-Aid. It's got to be gentle. You gotta be sweet to it. If you're angry with it, it just won't charge.
You just gotta give it. No, you just gotta put it softly. Just put it in gently.
Just smoothly.
Because you're just forcing it. You're just being too aggressive.
Why are you being so mean?
Then he took. Okay, now this gets better.
It can't.
He adds more value to the demonstration. Then he took out his own phone, almost like we're comparing dicks at this point.
Right?
All right, so then he took out his own phone and then, with a watchmaker's gentle precision, he showed me pins on the edge, then slide. See? That's what the genius did.
This is how you don't wreck the insides.
Oh my God, this is like the worst customer service experience ever. Like, I would I'm dead serious. Like, if I went to an Apple store and this guy was, like, doing this, I would have lost it.
No kidding. Being a jerk, I would have taken out my camera and
seriously,
filmed
like,
it.
I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I understand a square peg's not going into a round hole.
Indeed.
I get that.
Yep.
But there's only one way you can charge the phone. You can't stick the USB in. Any common sense would tell you that the lightning port cable part goes into the port.
Now, as we talked about before, we both have worked in cell phone business. Before we've dealt with people with this, and I'm sure that you have had the same issues I have, where people have, they're charging their phone, they drop it while it's charging, and those pins break off on the inside.
And I get that.
Yeah, or like whatever. It's a charge port. It's tiny little wires held in with tiny little solder joints. It's going to happen. Now, I understand you should treat your phone certain ways, but guess what? We're Americans. We take our phones for granted. They're at our hips 24/7. So they're going to go through some abuse.
But here's the thing. I think the lightning port is different because as far as a durability standpoint, they're usually, for the most part, pretty bulletproof.
No, and I agree with that.
But it's a pretty bulletproof design because you don't have the bending of the pins, or there's like no inside pins.
But
there's just top and bottom.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about like more of the inside. But either way, I was just going to say that I'm sure that you and I both have never had the issue where someone has come into us, a charge port was broken, and we looked at them and we were like,
You're charging it wrong.
You're charging it wrong. It was always, at least in my experience, was, man, these things happen. It's something that gets used a lot, and because it gets that use, that wear and tear, it's going to happen. It's no big. Who in their right mind would put all of that on the customer, especially when it's an Apple Genius Bar, when they're supposed to be the most helpful people, the most whatever, and then you got this douche rag. You're doing it wrong.
This I chalk this up to one of the worst customer service experiences that I've run into.
We should do a whole show on that, and we could literally do a whole show on that.
Here's the thing: we would have to split it up into parts.
We would.
We would have more than one episode.
Episode 32.
Hold on, and we haven't even got through the story, and we're already.
Yeah,
we're already 38 minutes in. I haven't got to the full part of the story.
Good sweet Judas, we gotta get moving, sir. Not really. You're at our mercy. We can talk all day long, and you're gonna listen because you love us.
Okay, so moving on to the story. I thought I saw. I knew I was being made to see. This is what Chris's response was to this. But what I was told to do now, why, replace my phone, of course. And he refers to the genius as the vole may not have been inebriated, but he was still a vole. Poor Chris. I mean, mind you, you're still carrying an iPhone 6, and to your credit, I mean, whatever. It's fine, but that's no way to be treated. Seriously.
No.
Okay. So basically, Chris thanked the genius with a gruesome mixture of gratitude and apology, and left. So, Chris now has a new iPhone 6, 2 years after it came out. Well, the iPhone 7 wasn't exactly any 007 caliber gadget, was it? Poor Chris.
Poor Chris.
That is an awful experience.
It really is. And again, especially with a company who prides themselves on, excellent customer service and excellent products, and they're the elite.
Well, here's the thing. When you watch their keynotes, what is it? They have like a 90-some% satisfactory rating.
Exactly.
It's like 90-some. It's like on the high 90s.
That 3% must be talking.
This must be like one of those
vole.
fringe situations that doesn't fall under that 90-some%.
Yeah.
Come on, Apple. This could easily be fixed. Stop treating your customers like they don't know how to charge their phones. If the guy was able to show the genius how he put his charger in, and it's still not charging, okay. But then you show him to try to do it gently, and it's still, it charges for a second, then stops. There's something going wrong because your logic's not working at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, let's get off that. Anything you'd like to add with this sense of stupidity right here?
No, other than to say, I mean, I've never been a big fan of Apple products, but man, their products are great. And again, 97%, satisfaction. Don't let the inebriated vole keep you away from Apple products. They're fine products and they're wonderful people.
Oh my God, the inebriated vole. I'm just going to refer to people that I dislike as the inebriated vole.
The inebriated vole.
All right, so on a more serious note, this next article, gaming addiction disorder, White House pitches big changes for education department. Now, we had briefly talked about, we didn't want to get too political on this. We want to focus more on the actual body of the topic and not focus on the political part of it. I think gaming disorder, I agree with that.
No, it is a serious thing, and much like a lot of mental disorders or mental issues, it's not being brought to light at all or very little. And when it is brought up, there's a certain can't think of the word now, but shadowing over it, whatever, that it's something you're not supposed to talk about, it's taboo, it's this and that, or no, things like this need to be talked about, and it's not comfortable. But that's when things happen, good or bad, is when you get outside comfort zones. And yeah, it sucks to talk about, it's not fun to talk about, it's not fun to admit, but something like this does need to be addressed. So yeah. I was happy.
So the World Health Organization is now classifying gaming disorder as the newest addictive disorder listed in their medical diagnostic guide. So to kind of give you a brief rundown of gaming disorder, symptoms include prioritizing video games over responsibilities and other activities. I feel like that's I feel like that could be equated to a lot of other things.
Oh, sure.
Like procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
But, over other responsibilities and other activities, having no control over impulses to play, and increasing time spent playing video games regardless of consequences. To be diagnosed, a person must have significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of functioning in the last years, according to the World Health Organization. So, I mean, I've experienced this firsthand, not personally, but I don't have a gaming disorder. I don't really have a lot of time to game, so as far as it being an addiction, yeah, I'm not even remotely close to it. But I can say firsthand that I had a roommate at one point that was severely addicted to online gaming. He would play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop. He lost his job at one point where he just decided he wasn't going to go into work. We would ask him if he wanted to go and hang out, go to the bar, go grab something to eat. And he became very antisocial, and just wanted to be consumed by, and at the time it was EverQuest is what the game that he was playing. But I mean, there's other games out there now that sort of, they're online games and
same
people
lines,
can, same kind of concept. But anyhow, so it was very troubling. And mind you, this was 2004, I want to say about 2003, 2004. So it was very troubling to experience that, because he just started to go into this downward spiral of depression. And he felt like his only outlet at the time was gaming. And it took a toll after a while, to the point where we literally had to sit him down and say, you have a problem.
Intervention.
And at that point, he started to limit his time playing online, and then he started to slowly wean himself down to the point where it was actually manageable, and he could, work and take care of his responsibilities, in general. But it's nice to see this being actually recognized as an issue.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I myself, I know that I have an addictive personality. If I find something that I love or whatever, I know that I tend to put my whole self into it. And I could totally see myself, like when World of Warcraft came out, I could totally see myself being like your friend, which is why I never played, because I knew that about myself, and I'm like, it's just like gambling. I love going to casinos. Love it. I've only been to a casino about 5-6 times, but every time I'm there, I pretty much have to pull myself out. And if I have to do that at a casino, could you imagine me playing something like World of Warcraft that's on 24/7, 365 that I can enjoy in the comfort of my own home? That terrifies me. So at least I had that, presence of self, but a lot of people don't know that they could be that way. And again, it sounded like when you said that that was his solace, your friend's solace was getting out. So, I mean, there might have been an underlying issue of depression in there or anxiety, and he found that was a way of coping, and that just kind of built on top of what was already there.
Yeah.
And so again, whether he knew or didn't know that that was what he was going through, it's something that you and I both agree on. It's something that needs to be talked about. No matter if it's something as simple, well, I guess I shouldn't say simple, as, anxiety or depression, all the way up to other things like schizophrenia or any other type of mental disorder. It's scary to talk about. There's still a lot to learn about that stuff, but really, if we don't talk about it, it's not going to get any better.
Hey, we have a special guest in the episode.
Woohoo!
How's it going, Matt?
What's going on, Chad?
Oh, not much.
So I don't know really how to go any deeper with this. I'm like I said, going back to it, I'm happy that they're finally acknowledging it as an issue. I find, video game addiction can be, equated to like gambling. I mean, to kind of give some honesty to that, yeah, I refuse to play League of Legends for that specific reason. I feel like, and this has been brought up to me numerous times by people. You know, I've had people constantly tell me, you need to play League, you need to play League, you really like it, you really enjoy it. You know, it's a really easy, you know, it's not an easy game, but you can pick it up quickly and you can become really good at it. But I feel like in my situation, I feel like you, that if I were to pick up League and I really enjoyed it, that I have a tendency to get fixated on things. And I get in this, I don't know, it's something I've always kind of tried to work out on my own, but like with podcasting, I get fixated on podcasting, and then there's times where I just constantly, I can't get it out of my mind about podcasting. And sometimes it drives my wife crazy. And I feel like, but it's manageable. You know, there's times where I'm able to draw it back and just kind of reflect and be like, oh, okay, just need to chill with it for a little bit. But I feel like if I were to pick up something like League or among other games like WoW, I would get supremely addicted to it, and I would fixate on it, and it would start to take me away from family responsibilities and stuff like that. And I feel like I could go down a very, very dark road with that. So I'm gonna take the alternate route and not put myself in that situation.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can become addicted to anything.
Right.
I mean, the addictions come from habits. Habits are literally, you do something more than twice and it becomes easier. And then your brain starts remapping that to, I need to continue doing this. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a drug. I mean, drugs just help that along, but playing games, you know, doing things a certain way every day, not going into OCD necessarily, but, you know, doing a certain whatever, you can become addicted to anything. So definitely something that needs to be brought to the forefront. Thank you, White House, for bringing that out, and hopefully we can get some more conversation on stuff like this.
Now, I actually, there is an addiction that I actually want to happen to me. This is going to be really fun when I say it. I want to be addicted to being like rich.
Right?
I want that addiction.
That would be great.
If I go play the lottery, well, okay, that's gambling. Never mind. That's not going to work.
You want the outcome of that particular, but
here's the thing. I want the outcome, but not the addiction.
Correct. Yes.
I just want to be able to just make money, like a ridiculous amount, like nonstop.
If I could be addicted to something good, it would be healthy
I want to be addicted to money.
Yeah, money would be good. Mine would be healthy eating and exercising. I see all my friends out there doing all this stuff, and I'm like, God bless you. I cannot do it. I've tried and tried and tried, and everyone's going to be like, that's because you just said you can't do it. No, I'm going to try it again because that's what I do. But, man, I get going. I start seeing the tiniest little result, and then I quit. I wish I could get addicted to that lifestyle. That would be awesome.
I mean, there's people that are addicted to lifting all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that wouldn't be that bad.
No, I mean,
unless you like want to look like the Hulk.
I was going to say there could be repercussions for that, but I mean, just if I could get addicted to that lifestyle, we'll just put it that way. Healthy eating, clean eating, being active. Yeah.
He was addicted to that.
So, you know. There you go.
I'd be okay. I just want to be addicted to making a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And then you can sort out the rest. All right, so that is the last article. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and get into the third act, or whatever the grand finale is, whatever the hell you want to call it, of Flashback Sequence Engaged, the podcast. We'll see you in a bit. And welcome back to the third act of Flashback Sequence Engaged, the podcast. I'm your host, Matt. Oh, no, Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible.
I knew you shouldn't have watched that movie.
Well, no, there's the... No, actually, I don't want to be Mr. Incredible. I want to be the screen slaver. Yeah, it's this evil person in the thing that hypnotizes and mind controls people.
No.
I'm mind controlling you now.
I know. And I like it.
Listen to the podcast. You want to listen to the podcast. You want to subscribe, like, and retweet everything that we put out. And you can check out our YouTube page because we're just now launching it.
Woohoo!
So that's a little bit of information from the screen slaver. Okay, so our main topic is biohacking. So, Jason, what do you know about biohacking?
Well, so when you brought this up, I was intrigued.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because I instantly had a thought in mind of what biohacking was. And what's funny is when we say the word biohack to you folks out there listening, whatever you're imagining is correct. Because biohacking is so broad. It's amazing. I mean, it encompasses things from basic, clean eating, good mental health.
Like the keto diet.
Yeah, all the way up to bionics, implants, trying to, do different things to your own chemistry, using different biologies for different things, not just GMOs and all that good stuff, but all kinds of things. I mean, we've been researching that a little bit, and just the amount of stuff that's out there is amazing. And the fact that there's so many home brews, so to speak, of this stuff.
DIY.
DIY bio is what they call it. DIY bio. And, we watched a video presentation about it, and a lot of stuff that they were talking about makes sense. So
it was a really good TED Talk.
Yeah.
And if you watch TED Talks, they tend to, bring up things that you might not, initially realize that they kind of give you a different outlook on the actual topic itself, and you're just kind of like, okay, well, I didn't think of it like that. Mm-hmm. So it does present some good points. So
yeah, I'm pretty excited to get into this, actually.
All right, so you want to get us started? Here, you can take care of the show this time.
Oh, I don't know if I should take this one over, but I'll do my best. So, when we're talking about biohacking, and we're talking about it in its simplest terms, if you Google it, you're going to find a whole lot of things talking about biohacking yourself to better health. It's more than just a diet, like a lot of people think. Oh, you had mentioned earlier, it's a keto diet. Yeah, that's good for you. Or all this, and that is involved.
Yeah, intermittent fasting. Yeah.
Yeah, and all this stuff. But it's more. It's not just what you're putting into your body while you eat and drink. It's literally everything you put into your body. Fresh oxygen instead of just hanging out inside all the time. Force yourself to go outdoors, so you're not a pasty white bastard like I am. Making sure that you're listening to the right music at the right times. Now, not necessarily right time of day, but if you're concentrating on something, it's good to listen to something with no lyrics, whether it's instrumental rock, techno, ambient, whatever, Yanni, if you want to fall asleep.
I like Skrillex.
Exactly. If you want to do some hardcore, cramming before that test, throw on some Skrillex. If that doesn't drill shit into your head, nothing will.
Well, in my, I had a programming class I had to do last semester, and literally, like, anytime that I just had to sit and just program, I would just, throw on the beats and, light up some Skrillex.
Now, see, I'm the opposite. I did William Orbit. He's more of an ambient electronica Strange Cargo 3, if you want to go out and check that out. It's great. It's good stuff. Got some good beats, mid-tempo to low tempo, but it's good for when I was programming. Oh, I used to just listen to that nonstop while I was doing that. So, but I mean, even again, just things like literally just going outside. You don't even have to exercise. Just going outside, getting that fresh air from where you're at. Good in, good out. So, like we touched on earlier, with the what was it? PermitPatty. Just because she was angry, she wanted to see angry people around her. Well, same kind of thing. You know, happy breeds happy. So
maybe she should have like pick up on some biohacking.
True. Certainly someone like her could definitely handle that.
I will take the time to try to find PermitPatty's information so we can send her a link to this episode.
I really think so.
To maybe entice her to pick up some biohacking for a better life.
Yes.
And hopefully a better outlook.
But you can look at all these different things. I mean, they all, it's all stuff that you already know you should do. But it's funny because you have these people talking about doing these simple little things and just how good in equals good out, mentally, physically. And, are you going to lose weight if you're doing this? Maybe, but that's not the end goal. The end goal is just to see how things affect you and your body, because everybody's a little different. I'm sure that we've all heard of someone taking this diet and we're like, oh, we got to do this. They lost 140 pounds in 20 minutes. And then we go and do it. And, we end up gaining 10 pounds. And it's like, how the hell did that happen? Everyone's different. So that's what kind of biohacking is just learning how things are going to affect you in its simplest terms. And then it gets all up into different things as well, more along the lines of, like we were talking about these home brews, DIY bio. It's almost like the old PC days. Microsoft starting in the garage, Amazon starting in the garage. You got these people that have, either worked for giant companies, learned what this, stuff is doing, and then they go home, they have a group of people, and they start doing some of the stuff on their own.
It's sort of like a hobbyist.
Yeah.
Like a hobbyist group.
Right. You still got ham radio hobby groups out there, whatever. But yeah, so you've got these people that are doing all this stuff and, engineering different things, doing even art with biometrics and all this, which is kind of interesting.
With the eye sensor, the color sensor,
the color sensor, right? So there was a British artist who was colorblind, but he loved art so much he had an antenna implanted into his skull, and so this antenna would sense color and it would vibrate against his bone. Jawbone, wasn't it? That or something?
Yeah, it was it was basically using the vibrations through his jawbone.
Yeah, and so it would go through, his ears, essentially, because of that vibration, and he could hear, quote unquote, which color he was looking at. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But it's something like that, and then you get into things like implants, which the funniest one I think we saw was people putting magnets under their skin and turning themselves into human compasses.
That was super weird.
Yeah. So if you have this strong enough magnet underneath your skin when you're facing magnetic north, you feel a vibration. And as you turn and face magnetic south, it goes away. So there you go. And you never have to worry about losing your car keys. You're just right there.
Well, no. If you're in the woods, or no. If you're just out, you have the magnet in your chest for your compass. Okay. So that'll keep you going north. All right. And then if you don't have your keys, why not get an implant in your hand? Get an NFC chip, and you can program it to your car, and you can open your car.
So that's kind of a thing.
That is a thing. Which
is awesome and slightly terrifying.
It's very cool. I actually know someone. I know a guy that would come into my old job, and he had it implanted into his hand. So he could. Okay, so let me explain how creepy this is. When I'm going to tell you. All right, so he literally told me that if he picks up a phone, he can do some bad things with it.
Like a cell phone?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like download a contact list. You know, stuff like that.
I mean, it makes
Like
sense if it's NFC.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't give him my phone.
No.
But yeah, so he had it programmed where his car door, so literally all he had to do is put his hand, as soon as he put his hand on the door handle, there was a sensor built into the door handle that would recognize his hand, and then it would unlock.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And this is the same guy that actually reprogrammed his entire head unit in his Ford Fusion at the time. Where he completely took out the Ford Sync software and completely uploaded with his version of Android. So, pretty cool.
Fun, right? But, so then you're going to have, even on just this one topic, you're going to have naysayers, well, yeah, soon there's always been these talks about having these chips where that's where you have your money. You're not going to have a card anymore. All commerce is going to be handled through these chips.
It's already being handled through your phone now.
And
Apple
so that's
Pay,
the thing.
Android Pay.
Right. And I loved my Samsung Pay, man, until I went to a small bank and they don't offer it. But I loved it. I thought it was amazing. And of course, you have some of these religious people, without being whatever. But, we're saying that if we go to something like that would be the mark of the beast. Yeah. I can understand how some people might be scared of that or might want to equate it that way, but we're talking commerce. Being forced to have something like that's a whole other ethical issue, I guess, maybe, but
Right.
I think it's a cool concept. I mean, hey, no one's going to be able to steal your key. You can't lose your keys. It's in your hand.
Well, I mean, there was... so, I remember we was talking to my Alicia earlier, and she had mentioned there was a guy that lived locally where we're at, that he had a limb that basically it recognizes his brain impulses. So if he was thinking to close his hand and make a fist, it would close and make a fist. That's definitely biohacking right there.
Yeah, and it's amazing that
Yeah.
we even have that technology where, it's not even muscle driven, it's mental driven. Used to they had those things where they would tie in with your existing tendons and whatnot in there, but it was kind of invasive. This is something that just works from brain power, which again is crazy amazing that we have that. And I'm sure that there's a huge training process that has to go along with that.
Right.
You're gonna have to
And
retrain
then, there's a lot of red tape that you got to go through, and
yeah.
But the thing is, it shows the advancement of technology in that it is going in a right direction.
Mm-hmm.
There are real world applications for these things, and I don't feel as bad about, and I know with a lot of people, there's a big degree of skepticism of, the application of it and why, it being available. But the thing is, you look at stuff like that where this guy has a second chance to have a replacement limb that is usable.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that don't have that opportunity, but you look how technology made that possible. And the thing is, I'll probably be down the road more accepting if I want to get an NFC chip built in my hand. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like I need a little bit more application.
No, absolutely.
to justify the need for it.
I wouldn't call myself an early adopter. Like, there are people that are out there like, oh, it's tech, I gotta get it. I'm not one of those guys. I want to see a little bit, but there are some things that I'll jump the gun on and I'll give it a shot. But yeah, that something implanted in my skin. I fainted back in 1996 when I got my ear pierced, for crying out loud. I'm going to wait before I put something permanently under my skin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like needles, so
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
implants
story.
are not, that great of an idea for me at this point.
But I mean, even beyond implants, there's genetic engineering as well. There's CRISPR, CRISPR. It's an engineering technique, essentially, where you can actually engineer genomes of different things. There was somebody who implanted themselves with this stuff, took a shot right up on stage, and supposedly was hoping to get bigger muscles because of this, and said, well, we'll see what happens, but apparently was not all that kosher. But infant stages.
Well, there was, okay, so to kind of give you an idea, there was an article in, actually this be July, August issue of Popular Mechanics. Yeah. So one of the most notable things in history that, there's a brief history of biohacking, but a lot of them are pretty basic, concepts, but then there's one that really just kind of stuck out with me. So February of 2018, so this is pretty recent. Aaron Trawick, CEO of, didn't you already talk about this?
I think I just glazed over it, but...
You talked about the muscle thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was something else that was super weird. Aaron Trawick, CEO of gene therapy testing startup, Sedence Biomedical, injects himself with an untested herpes treatment on stage. That's pretty bold.
A lot of shooting up on stage. Yeah, that is pretty interesting. And then...
Oh, wait. April 2018, Trawick is found dead in sensory deprivation tank.
I don't know if they go into detail and say if the two are related, but...
I don't know, February to April.
It kind of seems like it is, whether...
Well, I'm going to say if it was due to this untested herpes treatment, don't give yourself untested,
Right.
biomedical anything in your system. That's why we have checks and balances for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. But even that sensory deprivation we were just talking about, they have something that they call floating, which goes along with this whole biohack thing. There are places popping up all over the place now where you can go into these places, you float, essentially, and it's supposed to put you at ease, to calm, to kind of take you away from any outside interactions or whatever. It's literally just you, your brain, and meditation. Now, I haven't experienced one of these yet, personally, but when I was reading about it, it reminded me of The Cell. Have you ever seen that movie? With
Yes.
Jennifer Lopez? Yeah, when they're on those things and they're just kind of hanging out. I don't think it's that cool, but it'd be kind of neat to see what it would be like.
Maybe, no, it kind of reminds you of, like, Minority Report.
Mm-hmm.
With,
Yeah.
what do they call?
The precogs?
The precogs, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and because they're in, like, sensory deprivation chamber, and it's just basically they just float in water.
You can build your own just like they did in Stranger Things.
Yeah, and speaking of Stranger Things, I did actually a few months back knock out the entire series.
Yeah.
God, it's really good.
Good series, yeah.
I was skeptical at first, but
Yeah, all these
I'm glad I stuck it out.
all these 80s bringbacks and nods, but yeah. Anyway, back to putting shit in your body.
But yeah, so don't put any untested herpes treatments in your body.
Test that stuff out first, like on a child or a neighbor you don't like. I'm just teasing. Don't do that.
No,
don't do
don't recommend it. So in the article, they talk about some different things, and the author of this article, they basically test out some of these. So one of them is cryotherapy, and they give like little kind of a synopsis of their experience with it. So cryotherapy, what is it? Cooling the body with nitrogen. What is it supposed to do? Reduce inflammation.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. How much does it cost? $90 per session. It's a little pricey. What does it feel like standing on your porch in a blizzard? Literally, you could probably do that in anywhere that gets heavy.
Sure.
So literally, like there are three to 4 months out of the year where I can take part of I can take advantage of my own cryotherapy just by standing outside in the cold.
Yeah. Well, that'll be the time period you save some money.
Yeah. Save you $90. Float tanks, which you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Sensory deprivation meditation. What is it supposed to do? Reduce stress, improve sleep. Sounds like a good idea. How much does it cost? Roughly between $50 up to $125. Now this part is where it gets really interesting. What does it feel like? Absolutely nothing.
I love it. But I guess that's the whole point. If you're depraving your senses, right? You shouldn't feel anything.
Right. So it did its job.
Mm-hmm.
Specialized nutrition. What is it? Restrictive focused dieting. What is it supposed to do? Reduce weight, improve health. How much does it cost? Anywhere from free up to $400. Good
or
God.
more.
Or more. Is it safe? Depends. Ask your doctor. Consult your health professional.
Yeah, we're just gonna put it on him.
And then they make another side note on one of these things, and I think this is like one of the best ones I've heard today. So when they're taking part in one of these, it says, "My hands tingled when I went for a run. My mouth tasted like burnt corn nuts."
I want to know which one that was talking about. That kills me.
Well, it was in specialized nutrition.
Oh, the nutrition. Okay, Real quick on that. As you return to that page, he's turning away from. There's a timeline on the bottom of that, and they were talking about a body hack or a biohack of sleep. There was a guy and a friend of his that were working on a different sleep schedule where you would stay awake 6 hours and then take a half-hour nap. So essentially, you only had 2 hours of sleep for an entire
Dimaxium
day.
sleep.
Yes. Now, I will tell you this. There have been times where I'm so tired, whatever, and I take like a 2-3 hour nap, and then you wake up and you're feeling worse than you did when you took your nap. I'm sure all of us have experienced that. I actually did this one time. It was a half-hour nap. If you lay flat but prop your feet up with like 1 or 2 pillows and literally set an alarm for 30 minutes. On average, it takes you about 7 to 10 minutes to fall asleep. So a good 20-minute nap. And I wake up so refreshed. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. And of all the places I heard about it, was from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's what Sarah Michelle Gellar used to do because they had such rigorous filming schedules because of nighttime shots and this and that, and she would be exhausted. So she would do that, wake right up, everything was fine. I was like, no. And seriously, if there's ever a time where I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get enough sleep or what, I'll do that for a half hour. I'm totally fine. It's really bizarre. I know I'm not saying everybody should go out there and only start getting 2 hours of sleep. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying if you find yourself with a spare hour and you're feeling exhausted, give it a shot. I'm telling you, it works for me.
I don't know. I don't sleep. I don't really sleep at all. I'm just constantly deprived.
Calling back to Jolt Cola, are we?
Jolt Cola, we need sponsorship. I need some Jolt Cola.
We're whores.
And I can't seem to get it locally. Please help.
Yes.
And you can follow us on Twitter by going to FSE Podcast on Twitter. Just shoot us a tweet and help us out.
That'd be great.
Help me out specifically.
Yeah.
Jolt Cola, help me out. All right, and then the last thing they talk about is, and I have talked about this with actually Chad that was just in the room that just kind of popped in for a minute. Intermittent fasting is pretty interesting. Keto diet, that kind of thing. So what is it? Temporarily restricting food. What is it supposed to do? Reduce weight, improve health. Am I going to be hungry all the time? Yes. Yes, you will.
Yes.
Is it safe? Depends on your history. Ask your doctor. Always ask your healthcare professional.
Absolutely, because they're the overpriced people that will tell you what to do. No, it's always good to do that anyway, because again, like I mentioned before, the top of this subject, everyone's body is different. I know myself, I am a carb whore. I cannot stop eating carbs and sugar. I love it, and I know that's one of the downfalls of why I look a mess. But, you know, I did one day, I was just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to eat carbs. I'm done. And at the end of that first day, I was weak. I was shaky. It was like the worst withdrawal symptoms I think I've ever experienced. It was so strange. So no, it's definitely good to talk to somebody about that stuff. I mean, you know your own body, but always get the help from a physician.
I remember when I stopped caffeine for 3 days.
It's nuts, isn't it?
I literally was on edge.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I was on edge for at least 3 days. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I was very snappy with people. But then once I got past the third day, I felt... Here's the thing that blew my mind. It felt like I've been clean living. and everything just... My mind just felt clear.
Mm-hmm. No, and what is that about 3 days? They tell you, like, you felt good 3 days. They tell you when you quit smoking, the first 3 days are the hardest. After that, it's not kind of... I wonder what that is. 3 days with the human body. Is it just getting all the garbage out of you?
I don't know.
No. Might be a subject for a different time. But when we're talking about ins and outs and how you get used to diets and whatever, and I remember this from 5th grade. Why, I don't know. But my one of my teachers was talking about when she was in college, she had this plant, and she would always drink Diet Coke. Well, if she didn't want to rush down and get water for this plant, she would just pour a little Diet Coke into the plant. And it's like, what? But the plant lived. And soon it came to the point where she got so lazy, she didn't even go get water at all. She just fed this thing Diet Coke. And it kept growing. She took it home over the summer, and her mom only gave it water for like 3 days, which is what it's supposed to have. And it died. It actually got used to living off of Diet Coke. So, and then it was such a drastic change, it wasn't getting what it wanted. Just died. So, again, another strange thing to tell you, that if you are wanting to do these biohacks, don't go whole hog, right off the bat. Don't
go
ease into it.
Take advice from the Apple genius. Is just the tip.
Just the tip.
In a little gently.
Just massage it right in there. Yeah, ease in.
Don't be aggressive with it. Don't be aggressive with biohacking. Go into it gently.
Because if you're aggressive, you're doing it wrong.
Oh my god, that worked out so perfect.
That's horrible.
Oh, we're going to hell.
Yep. We'll save you a seat.
All right. God damn, that was good. All right, so, damn, I got a little teary-eyed there for a second. All right, so, anything more you want to add with this?
No, I mean, it's, well, okay, I lied. Yeah, there is. So, not to keep going, because we've been talking a while, but I would highly recommend watching that TED Talk. It's literally 10 minutes. I think it was 10 minutes on the dot, wasn't it? Or like 10:07. Anyway.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put the link for the TED Talk in with our description and stuff.
Yeah, so if this is something that interests you or concerns you, I would highly recommend checking out that TED Talk, and here's why. A lot of it they equated to like PCs when they first came out. A lot of people were like, well, what are you going to do with all this biohacking? What are you going to do with it? The late 70s, early 80s, everyone's like, well, what are you going to do with the PC? Now these things run our lives. I mean, they're an integral part of our lives. We have tiny little PCs, again, with our cell phones all the time. So is there reason to be scared? I don't think there's a reason to be scared about all this stuff, especially all the DIY bio and all that. But it's just like PCs. You have PC viruses. Well, they didn't just create themselves. I mean, anybody can use anything for bad or good. The majority of people that are out there working on this stuff legitimately want to help themselves, their neighborhood, and the world. And a lot of times these brilliant things that do come out of things like this don't always happen with big corporations.
Right.
You know?
They have the small startups.
Yeah. And, you know, it's ideas building on ideas. And again, just like the PC, you know, it wasn't IBM out there packing everything together. It was all these goobers that were in their garages just trying anything. And the way that she equated it as well was in that TED Talk when she said, well, people are always worried about, well, what if you accidentally create, you know, this thing that's going to destroy the world? Well, the chances of that are very rare because, again, you're working with good organisms, the intentions of good. It's extremely rare. It's not something to be worried about. Are you going to have people out there that are using biohacking for evil? Of course. I mean, you can do...
Yeah, they're called terrorists.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, we could talk about that all day long as well. But no, I think something like this is the next step as far as our growth as a human species. I think it's something that not just for us, but I mean, there's all kinds of different things that you can do with bioluminescence and, you know, everything else. Like right now, it looks like everyone's just playing with a chemistry set. To be honest, you know, a lot of it is. But out of that play, out of that experiment, that's where all of our future is going to come from.
Building to bigger and better things.
Absolutely. So, you know, when you hear biohacking, you know, you hear hack, you think of bad, you know, someone getting into a computer or a horrible 1994 movie with Angelina Jolie.
What are they? What? It was a zesty summer tonic. I don't know if it came out in the summer, but
you know,
it was a breakout hit of 1994.
I'll say. Good book. Anyway, but no, I mean, it sounds scary. Read about it. I'll tell you what. I mean, I honestly didn't know that much about it until I started reading a little bit, and I mean, just the little bit that I've read has opened up my eyes to a lot of things, and there's just so much out there. Check it out. I mean, especially if you're a tech person, if you enjoy all that kind of stuff, it's kind of the new way of tech, going organic instead of, you know, all the other stuff that we're doing. So, no, check it out. Don't be scared. Look into it. Read about it. See what you can do. There, now I'm done.
All right. Well, I guess that's all that I have, too. Oh, so I'm going to go ahead and go through the house cleaning items.
Yes.
You know, finalizing it up. Just button this shit up. So, yeah, you can check us out on Twitter at FSE Podcast. You can check us on Facebook at Flashback Sequence Engaged, the podcast. You can follow us or you can check out our Instagram page at FSE Podcast. You can send us hate mail or any kind of mail at fsepodcast@gmail.com. And then if you get a chance and you want to kick us a few bucks, check out our Patreon page at Flashback Sequence Engaged. Last thing I want to go ahead and mention is I have a guest lined up to be on the show. I believe what I was able to narrow it down to was July 13th. But anyhow, so yeah, check out Rich Regal. He currently has his album on all platforms like iTunes, Spotify, and you can follow him at Rich Regal 740. And he's currently the front runner for country rap in Central Ohio right now. So if you get a chance, you can help him out. Check him out on iTunes and shoot him a vote. Let's get him the support. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just close it there. Do you have anything left you need to say, Jason?
No, not at all. I'm all about supporting local artists. I used to be one myself, so go out. We love the help.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and sign it off. See you later.
Everything changes.